they have a whole geothermal plant. And so the next step is to see if we can power the entire property with geothermal energy, which is just clean and sustainable. And yeah.
So, and then what's also, you had mentioned as far as the farmland, right? You're going to open up opportunities for people to invest?
Absolutely. So since I've been out here, I get so many messages about people like, hey, how do I do this? And like, it can be overwhelming, right? Like, it's a lot. And so I thought about, when I started doing the numbers, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I only need, if I were to say I broke up 5 acres, and obviously I have all this land, right? I've got 5 acres where we can start. I only need, for 10 acres, I need 130 people, right? So if I have 130 people that would want to invest, and I can farm it for them, right? Because my girlfriend called me and she's like, well, if I buy the land, girl, will you farm it for me? And I was like, okay. I had to think, I was like, let me get back to you. Let me figure out what that would really take and what it would really cost, and like, could I really do it before I say yes? And I did the numbers, and I was like, oh, actually, I could totally do this. And if I do it this way, I can do it. So it's a really small investment for people. So say, if you do it right now for, like I said, if I have 10 acres and I do it at, it would be like $1,300 per person. I need 130 people for the year. By the end of that year, they would be farming. And then after that year, they start making money. So then it's also because I'll hire more people. So you'll be hiring more people. You'll be paying people here in Kenya to farm for you, right? And then you're actually being a part of the community, even if you're not ready to come out here yourself. But it's actually financially feasible. I'm trying to make it so you can actually do it.
It's like a co-op.
It's like a co-op, yeah. It's called We Farm.
So you pay $1,300. The first year is just like a setup fee.
Yeah.
And then year 2, you start to see some money.
You'll start to see money.
You got to pay $1,300 every year?
No, so you won't have to give money again. And even so, the water and the salaries and things like that will come off the top of your dividends, but you won't have to give me any more money.
So it's a one-time payment of $1,300?
One-time payment. Unless you want to do a larger plot. So it's like 300 square meters, which, like I said, is like the size of a house, like if you were building a house.
Yeah, one of the things we deal with, obviously, in America is taxes and property tax. How does that work, having a farm in Kenya and throughout East Africa?
So every country is different, obviously. The taxes here are a little less than the States. So they're like, it was like 20% or something like that. But I mean, yeah, it's like anything else. You got to pay taxes, right? You do it. But it's doable, and it's all legit, and you can see it, and that's why you get your KRA, your PIN number, and you just kind of start to do business like that. I think the other thing is, when you start hiring people here, like there are cuts and things like that because they want you to hire locals, and so that's been a big incentive just to,
Because I'm thinking in terms of benefits, right? Everything you're doing here is clean. Obviously, when we have clean energy or we get an EV, there's rebates and there's discounts for doing that. Similar.
Even, and I was talking to a friend earlier about it, really just talking about like even if you plant trees, right? So you get like carbon credits, and so like every little thing counts, right? And so things like that. So with a property my size, like we're going to be planting tons of trees, right? So you let them know what you've planted, then you get carbon credits towards which is just another tax break, which is great. So things like that do exist, and it's just about getting in there and figuring out like, okay, well, how many people am I hiring? What is it going to cost me? How many dependents do I have? Versus like Americans that are coming in here and working with its family or whatever. Kind of all those, you break that down, but it's doable, and it's easier than the States to be from that perspective for sure.
You still have to pay tax in America too?
For money I make in America, yeah.
Not for money you make here?
No.
So, from an aspect of people that's looking to move to Africa, any country, there's a few things, right? Let's go through it. Schooling.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. You have 3 children that are young, right? 1 teenager and then 2 younger children. Talk about your experience with bringing children out here and interrupting their schooling, interrupting their social circle that they already had, enrolling them into a new social construct and school. Okay,
well, I may not be the best person for the conversation. I'm not big on the system to begin with, right? So
the school system.
I am not. I just never felt like it served us, and so for me, it was always adverse for me. My kids have been on tour with me since they were born, so my system has been a little bit different. What I will say though, in Nairobi specifically, there are great schools. And I know this really just because my neighborhood, like where we live, my kids who I set free every day and they just go and run wild with all their little friends, they all go to schools in the neighborhood, and they're just bright and smart kids, and it feels like America in the sense where like no one's behind. They're actually way ahead.
Your kids are homeschooled.
My kids are homeschooled.
But that's a conversation too, because a lot of people in America want to start the homeschooling process. They're similar to that. But so that's interesting because one of your children is getting homeschooled by artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
How's that working out?
Well, I was skeptical at first, but my older kid was in such a good program and it didn't start at the age that my son is at, so I needed to find something that I thought was comparable. And it's amazing, honestly. What's great about it is that the AI system, it's a new system. It's called Fusion Academy, but basically it's a new system and it adjusts to according to like what he's learning and what stage he's at. So it's never just like brushing past something and be like, okay, we got to get to the next stage. It's not rushing him into anything. So if he's excelling in writing or reading, he could be in 5th grade, even though should be at a 3rd or 4th grade level, right? So it's not holding him back. It's accredited. And then it makes it so that we can travel and I can move and they can see the world. And to me, it's been the most amazing education. My kids their passports are crazy, right? Like their passports will rival anybody. They've been all over the world. I can dip out to Thailand. I can go to, like South Africa. I can go to Egypt. Like we can do whatever we want and it doesn't ever interrupt their schooling. To me, homeschooling is
it's 2 hours a day.
The best.
The AI.
It's 2 hours a day.
Which
really, if you look at real school, like the kids are in school doing nonsense for most of the day. It's like recess and playing, and it's like, what is happening here?
I was a teacher for 14 years.
Right. A lot of time is wasted, though.
A lot
right?
of time is wasted.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. Education is important. I'm glad you both spoke about homeschooling. The other thing that's important when people want to move is healthcare. And I think people really don't understand how powerful Kenya is and the role that they play, especially on the continent in healthcare. Give some information about the level of excellence that is provided here.
Okay, I'm so glad you brought that up, actually, because I didn't really understand it, and we have such a negative connotation to the continent. We were like, we've been so fear-mongered, right? So just to put it in perspective, okay, so again, my lawyer, who's out here, he's a very successful man.
We got to meet this lawyer.
He's great. You actually should meet him. He's really fantastic, but he's great. But he was telling me that his mother or grandmother got very ill and they were terrified, so they brought them to the States to get all the medical help that she needed. He said when he brought her back, he was so appalled because he was like the amount of money that he spent, the effort, bringing this woman back and forth who was already ill. He was like, when he went to the doctors here, they were going to do the exact same thing, and she ended up doing the 2nd round of chemo and everything here. He said it was exactly the same. Their facilities are exactly the same. Since I've been here, I've had an MRI. My sister actually is having surgery this week. My cameraman had a root canal. Like literally, Kenya has some of the best healthcare. It's cheap. It's great. The doctors are fantastic.